So, good morning, good afternoon. I'm Amit Bhatia. I'm Global CIO and CISO for Karam Safety Pvt Limited. So, my role here is basically to manage the complete IT stack as well as the security posture of all the automation as well as OT deployments and factories. So we are an Indian multinational company where we are basically the Asia leader in manufacturing personal protection as well as fall protection equipments. That is basically industries such as like oil industry, coal industry, or maybe any manufacturing company where laborers are supposed to be, wearing safety gadgets, right? Like helmets, gloves, gumshoes, and other things. So we are the only number one manufacturer of these products, and we are exporting these products in 150 countries. We have six offices internationally, as well as we have 17 offices in India. So that is the length and breadth of our operations.
And you have overseas offices. I saw your website.
Yes. So we have six overseas offices. Recently, we opened our offices in Australia and New Zealand.
There is a great potential where you guys are working, because as we are developing more, these are the gadgets or the equipments we can say is needed in much large quantities. What were the early signs that your legacy enterprise systems were becoming consistent to business growth and operation agility?
So the question is like why we moved to Oracle Fusion, right? Earlier we were using Oracle R12 approximately more than a decade, right? We were Oracle shop a decade back, but there were certain, there was so many customization done in that R12 instance that it was getting more bulky and it was not very agile to work on that software, right? The change management was very, very limited now, right? We were not able to upgrade quickly, right? So because of our global nature and the business which we were into, and we were actually doing organic as well as non-organic growth, right? So at that point in time, the backhaul or our basic ERP system should be very robust, right, and very secure. So hence we actually opted to go to Oracle Fusion and selected the cloud version. Very well placed, where like we have deployed 19 modules across all the factories as well as marketing offices as well as HO. So we are now running operations. We went live around in April, 6th April, and now after 1.5 months we have done one successful closing also, financial closing. So there are teething problems, but yes, working on with our delivery partners as well as our own IT team, we are overcoming all those small challenges, which definitely some change management actually in any big project like this, there has to be a proper well-defined change management, which we are doing right now, and we are successfully completing all those teething problems.
Great to know. But during the transition to a cloud-based enterprise platform like the leading one, Oracle, what was the biggest challenge in terms of change management, which you are talking, process alignment, user adoption? So how was those phases when the transitions were happening? How these elements were behaving?
Again, this was a 1 year complete journey. So we started with the detailed requirement gathering, then the gap assessment. Then when you say gap assessment, then the point is like how the user is currently using the product. So when you find a gap, that means how the Oracle Fusion is delivering that solution, and vis-a-vis what is the expected outcome by user, right? So that gap can be bridged through either the change management to train the user by doing that specific process which is new to him. Second point is like we create certain kind of wrapper or customization where like we can support the process, right? But the base process or the core process remains intact for Fusion, since it is basically a SaaS product, and that is an advantage that we get. Every 3 months we get a upgrade to this Oracle Fusion patch. if we do more of customization, then this patch management or patch deployment will be very difficult, and which I think no organization needs that, right? So what we have done is we have created a framework in which the only the customization will be done, which will not touch the core part, and we will be able to migrate to the next patch, which is next version after every quarter. That is the way we are driving the things here in Karam.
Great. So it's a 1 year long process which you guys have followed, and each and every element has been taken care.
Yes.
That's good to see.
And moreover, like if I can tell that we deployed a learning L&D team specifically for maybe from starting from user acceptance testing and requirement gathering. From there, the learning and development team was also associated with these core users. So we had done a train the trainer program, and then finally deployed all that training modules to train these users. We then assess their knowledge, right? When we were very confident that they are ready to use this software, then only we started planning for a go live, right? So that was a part where we have a change, where we have managed the change management well in Karam, right? So training people is very important, because there is a new business process. They are not aligned to this is basically more of a web-based application, right? Earlier they were actually working as a desktop application, right, with more of a keyboard thing. Right now they are working with mouse, right, as a any other Windows application. So that change was also apparent, where they say that we have to click 10 times or maybe this. So, but the overall, if you do the time motion study, they were saving on the time, right? When we show them in the trainings, then they were very much convinced, and then they started adopting it and working towards better fulfillment.
Learning from you these things, it seems very exciting and challenging that how overnight you are transforming your digital assets, and it's always a risk which we know in technology, but you guys, manage to do everything in a well mannered ways. I'll just move to next part of my queries, which is, how did you approach integrating multiple business functions into a unified system without disrupting ongoing operations? Because this remains a major concern for businesses like you.
So again, as I discussed with you, that we did a change. So we did a requirement gathering. At that point in time, we found the gaps that was in the processes. Parallelly, we also did a solutioning for overall stack, right? Because the complete ERP was having so many integrations with it. For example, it was integrated with our CRM, it was integrated with our MES system, which is in manufacturing side. It was integrated with our online portal, which based on which we do B2C. So there were so many integrations, right? So we try to eradicate all those integration or consolidate those integrations into less than say 20-25. Earlier it was more than 80. So that type of architecture also was designed at that point in time, and accordingly we created the solution, and based on that solution only we did the UAT and other stuff. So without changing the platform or the existing other peripheral systems, we have changed the backbone or the core system, which is ERP, right? And we had tried to normalize the number of integrations through various microservices, right? And creating a layer of integration which is basically operationally sustainable, right? Till we went live, the old architecture or old system was live. So all the operations were done well, planned, right? And when we did the cutover, that cutover was also very smooth. So we had a plan of cutover, and once we did the cutover, we never looked back, right? So that was a transition time when we were going live. By 6th of April we went live, right? And I know we were working with business users day night till 6th, and till now also we are working with them to clean the teething issues or maybe the challenges which they are facing because of change management, right? We are still training them, we are still handholding them, and definitely it is in a hypercare stage right now. So by within 2 months, we will be declaring this the complete operational, uh, so that users are doing self-sufficient activities without any support from any IT or any partner.
That describes how much care is needed. You have operations going on, sales going on, everything is being connected, and you guys are the backbone, and you did it extremely well in managing those challenges, the gaps and everything. Digital transformation is a journey. Now in an AI era, we are sitting at a time where change is very very frequent. Okay, the technology which we are using today uh, will have you'll have to think about how it gonna sustain on a longer term. So my next query is all about that operations complexity increases with the growth. How important is it to build a future ready digital foundation that can scale seamlessly with business needs like you?
So I can connect it with my first question which you asked, why we went to so that was this was one of the reasons, we should be having a robust system which should be scalable. So if we are opting for a cloud, that means then number of users increase. You don't have to think about the infrastructure part, right? So infrastructure is automatically taken care of in the SaaS platform. Secondly, we have a PaaS version also in Oracle uh, where we can do certain customization. So that also is scalable. So, for example, if we want to create a bigger system or maybe a wider system or a complex system, the SaaS platform doesn't restrict us. It says that okay, you can connect through my PaaS, which is a platform as a service. So it is a low code platform where you can do a customization, which will not disrupt your main SaaS platform. Okay, but it will talk to it, and maybe there are certain decisions or the workflows which need to be built before we actually go into ERP or core ERP. So this platform was not existing as a robust nature, or maybe it was not that scalable, right? If we have to increase number of users, then we have to also think that okay, what is the server size now we have to take, because secondly at the closing part, or maybe when you are running a cost in manufacturing, it was taking hell lot of resources, right? Which was nothing but money. Okay. uh, and then every 3 to 5 years we have to do a refresh, right? When you say refresh, means then hardware refresh means a big chunk of money goes away again without any advantage. But and that was also eradicated. So these were the various reasons why we went for cloud, and that is the reason that okay, now with the single platform, okay, all the modules or all the functions are working on the single platform, right? That was the thought behind it. And since we are a global organization, anytime if you want to deploy this globally also, Oracle is means sufficient or self-sufficient to take that global multilingual multi-currency aspect, right? So that was also thought process behind it.
You rightly said, it's not about thinking about the hardware or software which will be viable or the sustainable for longer run. It's all about vendor whom you are choosing, that
Hmm.
that those vendors should present across the all major countries where you have that operation. So this is also
Yes.
an element which CIOs need to understand.
Yes.
Okay, moving to next part of my query, which is, how has improved system connectivity impacted collaboration between different business units and overall organizational efficiency while you have opted this new solution?
Okay, so there are so many examples, but I will just pick one example. We implemented iSupplier portal, which was not there earlier in the existing, system, as well as it was not very much integrated. So we have around 5,000 suppliers now. They are taking purchase orders from us. They are actually creating certain invoices towards us for the payments, and then finally we are paying them and then informing them. In this complete ecosystem, the productivity of my purchase team, manufacturing team who is receiving the material and quality checking that material, and my finance team was huge, because they were interacting with the vendors, right? based on maybe the service deliveries, or maybe the payment cycle, or maybe payment statuses. So this complete stuff is coming into now a portal where like supplier will be able to do a self service where he can load his invoice, and then he can see that okay, where is the payment, and he can also see the payment advice. So this complete one system has eradicated so many people, pain, which is 5,000 supplier. Then they are interacting with my 3 or 4 departments. So if you try to calculate that productivity, that is enormous, right? Which was not actually visible, but now since this will be drifting towards a single platform which my suppliers and my all team members can use. So this will give them quite benefit, and it will be also good for business growth for either of the suppliers as well as us.
You talked about many things, internal training, adoption, transition and everything. When you choose, when you selected this solution, Oracle, ERP and everything, so how means, the team has worked closely with you, because it's not over. You said it's 1 year of long journey, and yet certain things has to be done. So how do you see the support has been from Oracle team, their core sales team or the support team? How you materialize this deal, and how you are feeling now after having successfully implemented?
So I think if I personally see, I'm maybe working with Oracle since last say out of my 27 years of experience, around 22 years I have worked with Oracle products. So for me, it is always a good thing to work with Oracle. Why? Because uh, they don't only have created this product; they are also having a hearing ear, right? Though, so the point is they dedicatedly put the customer engagement guys, right, who are basically listening to what all things are. What all issues we are facing during the journey of implementation, not after implementation or before, or neither pre-sales nor post-sales. During you are implementing, there are so many decisions or so many areas where if you don't get help, then that can result into a failure also, or maybe a directionless implementation. So I think that support definitely helps us. There were certain you know uh, compliance points which were missing at that point in time, which when we were starting this journey. So Oracle has ensured with their backend uh, technical team that they specifically build those modules or sub modules for us, right? And very quickly get them tested and then deployed in production. Definitely that will be used for the wider society. But then we got that that patch or that software just in time, right? So that we can execute our compliance part smoothly. So this type of activity, I think, definitely makes the project successful. And Oracle actually supported it with, definitely, with our implementation partners also. They were very understanding with they were closely work with Oracle, and the result is in front of you. Like we are successfully went live with all the 19 modules, and it was a big bang implementation, not stages. So it was one of the biggest implementation in India by Oracle for a manufacturing organization.
Yeah. So, it's you said rightly, because Oracle has also evolved, and you're working closely from last 22 years. It's a kind of trust and collaboration success we have seen in past, and that's why Oracle is offering such solutions where CIOs like you are opting these in a new digital transformation journey. Before I conclude, this is my last query for you, which is about the you might have learned some lessons from these transitions or the adoption, which you can share with other manufacturing company in India. You're learning, especially about if you can discuss the benefits of using Oracle, Fusion Cloud applications, ERP and SCRM, SCM, how the deployment has helped you to grow further and a future ready company in manufacturing vertical.
So I think so two questions. I will answer one by one. Maybe so there are so many learnings I'm telling you because I think we started way back in April. I still remember like 9th of April we kick off this project, and there were so high expectations by each and every user के सब कुछ manual जो है सब खत्म हो जाएगा everything. So first thing is we have to set the expectations very clearly why we are going for fusion. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है magic bond नहीं है ये which will change the life of everybody. But yes, from here we will reach here, and then from here we have a journey next year to go there, right? For example, the AI adoption or other parts which Oracle also gives, that will be our next phase. So first point is we have to set the expectations of why we are going for this project or why we are doing means cloud journey, right? That has to be explained to each and every stakeholder, user as well as HODs, everybody. Second is then we have to when we take the requirements, it has to be closely written down requirements signed off by HOD. So why I sign off, that is the inclusion or the participation of HOD has to be important. That is top down, because there are so many brains when we are doing a requirement gathering, and actually they give so many solutions also with the requirement. But then we have to understand that what is pragmatic and what is important, what is good for organization. So here comes the intervention of all HODs as well as the participation. Third point is when you solution it, right? Definitely go with an agile thing where like you show the POC or some demonstration to users. It should not be a finished product like a waterfall model, and you go and then show it to the user, and then they say ऐसा तो हमने सोचा नहीं था, or this is not the way I have written the requirement, this is not the way which you have delivered. So that the customer expectation or the CX part. So point is कि when we are taking the requirements, it has to be signed off by all the department heads. Okay, so that there is no gap when we deliver that the complete solution or maybe delay in the program. That is number two. Number three is solution is signed off and it is I think ready to that point in time we have to define we have to identify the roles or the people who will be working on these transactions. So do the proper training of these processes. Change management before live. Again, I'm saying before live we have to go for the training part, right? Generally people say that okay, there are so many 500 guys, we cannot start implementation till the last mile is over and all. That is all myth. Or we have to assess a person, right? If he is ready to take this implementation or the change which we are doing for him. If he is not ready, we have to help him first, rather than putting the ship in the ocean and then there are so many waves it will drown. So we have to see the water current and then release the ship. So that is very important. The environment, who people who are using it, they should be very very comfortable. The last and the most important thing, which is the last but most important thing, is you have to migrate the proper data in the system. The legacy system is having so many junk. So we were having those learnings, and then we cleaned the complete master data related or relevant transactions. Only we took to the new system. There are so many suppliers, so many customers who are actually not active or maybe partially active. We have dropped those and we have cleaned those data. Then item master also has to be very clean. It has to be integrated with my other systems. So that master data management has to be very important before we migrate that data and go live. So these are 3-4 points. I think if we take care, then the implementation will be a cakewalk.
Right. The important one is HOD, because every department has to be on the same side what you guys are thinking and implement.
The HOD is still calling me. So this connect is why, because everything is channelized through him. Now,
Right.
maybe if there is some mess, that is a joint mess, and he will support in deploying a new change or a change management if we have to do. Otherwise, in such big implementation, if business owners are not owning it, then there will be a blame game later on. or maybe that okay, this was not discussed and decided. So to avoid that, I think that is important.
Yeah. So great learning my audience will have from this, case study which you're sharing with us. Quickly, if you can close this discussion, commenting about my last part, which was, can you discuss the benefits of using Oracle Fusion Cloud Applications ERP and SCM, and how the deployment has helped? A quick word on that.
So I think we are still means very new to use it properly. When I say this, because there are around more than 600 reports were there earlier in the old system. We have dropped it to top 100. So I think those decision support which we have created for user in a single platform, that will be a maybe that will be bringing in lot of productivity in users, where they were actually spooling so many reports which were maybe duplicate, or maybe everybody wanted to see his own format. The standardization which will come in picture, right? And everybody from top to bottom will be seeing the same data or the same format. So that is the change which we have brought in, and that was possible because the platform is single, right? If you want to go to purchase, then you can pull in purchase data. If you want to go to manufacturing, you can pull manufacturing data. Maybe customers are common, right? If you are bringing in new customer, then the channel is same, right? Which is master data management, right? Approval of customer master is same. Supplier registration is seamless now. Earlier it was manual, so now bringing in iSupplier portal, it is all digitized. So it has given us a digital as well as analytical power. So earlier the manual things that has been digitized. Second is the decision support, or maybe the BI part, which is inbuilt in Oracle SAS platform. That is ready to use plug and play. So if you are doing transactions, you can always see what all reports are important, right? Over and above, we have created some more custom reports which are standard formats. So this complete stuff actually give the seamless visibility, the data integrity across all the modules, and definitely the decision support is more easy when you have integrated and similar data, which actually A person and B person is seeing the same data. It is not that okay, some master data is different in one system which is different in another system. One platform means that okay, you are seeing same data, the business processes are very robust, and then a decision which needs to be taken at any functional point, that is very easy to have, right? So these are the benefits of going to a single platform, which we have planned these will be reaped in.
That's thanks for sharing, Amit sir, on the journey you had recently with the Oracle, and seems pretty good that you guys are on the right track and digital transformation journey has just started, and we are in the AI world. I am sure that a lot of things will happen, and we'll stay connected to know more about the development from your side. Thank you, Amit sir.
Yeah, definitely.